UConn women's basketball has suffered another season-ending injury. This time it's Ice Brady, who was a freshman. Like, she's 6'3", inch forward. She was at the 2022 FIBA Under 18 America's Championships and averaged 13 points per game, 7.5 rebounds per game, 1.7 assists per game, 1.3 steals per game. But on a high school number 5 recruit, 2022 McDonald's Jordan Brand and Slam All-American, 2022 Max Preps California All-State third team, 2021 San Diego Sports Association Player of the Year, averaged 20.7 points per game, 12.8 rebounds per game, 1.8 blocks per game as a senior in high school. And she did suffer a dislocated patella in her right knee. So that is not good. Now the depth has gone to 10. They only have 6 forwards on the team left. I mean, 6 of them. And that's even including somebody that could play forward slash guard. So to go over some of the key non-con games is like Princeton, Maryland, Notre Dame, Tennessee, potentially Iowa, Texas, NC State. That's just naming some right there, and it's not even including their conference slate, which the best teams are like Creighton, Villanova, DePaul, and they get to play them twice. Remember, that's how they are in their conference, and they even play South Carolina as well as a non-con. Ooh, that's brutal. Once again, like I said with the Paige Beckers injury, I don't expect a national championship team. I don't. Not with that depth. Depth is an issue. And the key thing is, if you gotta have the depth to go along with the players. I mean, you lost your best player already, and I'm not sure where like Ice Brady would have been, to be honest, in terms of rotation, but it still hurts to lose a depth piece, and a good one at that. And the only other forwards include like Aaliyah Edwards, Dorka Uhas, Lou Lopez Senecal. Like both of those two are grad students. Of course, you have Ayanna Patterson, 6'2" inch forward. That's a freshman. Aubrey Griffin, 6'1" inch forward. That's a redshirt junior, and she was coming off of an injury from last year. Remember. And Amari DeBerry, 6'5" inch forward. Dorka Uhas is 6'5" inches tall. Lou Lopez is 6'1". Aaliyah Edwards 6'3". So they don't really have a lot of depth, and they don't have another like I said with Paige Becker's injury. They have not a lot of depth at guard. I mean, Nick and Mule, Caroline Ducharme, Inez Betancourt, Ozzy Fudd. That's only like 1, 2, 3, 4 guards on the team, and then none of them are like true point guards either. So that is even worse. That, of course, if you want to include Lou Lopez as a guard, technically 5, but I don't know what they're going to classify her as and when she plays, because I don't know if she's going to be a guard or if she's going to be a forward, but regardless, the depth is shrunk for the team now. In order to go far in the NCAA tournament, you got to have depth, and I'm not expecting a national championship team by any means for UConn women's basketball. I would not think that at all if you're a UConn fan right now. I would honestly say your best case scenario is an Elite 8. Just being realistic. Or a Sweet 16. You might be able to get to a Final Four somehow, but I just don't see a national championship team more likely than not. And I really just don't see. I'm not being biased at all, but there's other teams out there that can make a Final Four over UConn, especially with the depth being a problem at UConn now. So try to check if Florida State women's basketball even made it to the NCAA tournament last year. Yeah, they did. They did. So that's another NCAA tournament team you got to watch out for. And you don't have to worry about Duke. They were 17-13 last year. They didn't make it. And I don't know about Texas beating UConn. That's a tough game to pick. I'm not saying I don't think Texas is honestly they're a top 5 team. I would wait and see on them because they lost some pieces, but I know they gained some, and they even lost one of the better players from last year to the transfer portal, who's at Florida now. So I'm just being realistic. You gotta be honest. So, and I know in the preseason UConn was in the top 10. I expect that to drop some after a few losses, of course. No, they could very well lose all the big key non-con games. For all I know, they could. I'm not going to say they're going to, but you got to admit, when you look at the non-con schedule in terms of quality opponents, there's a possibility. Because let's face it, you get to play a lot of good teams. Tennessee's number 5 in the country in the preseason. You got to play Iowa too. Then you got to play Texas and South Carolina. That's 14. That's 3 teams in the top 5. Notre Dame's even number 9. NC State's number 10. Your non-con is hard, as you can tell, in preseason wise. And Creighton's number 21. Maryland's number 17. Princeton's number 24. Villanova, and that's not even including them as a non-con team, or the same thing goes for Creighton, but Villanova is receiving votes. DePaul is receiving votes. This is no pushover. I mean, those 3 teams in the Big East, besides UConn, can challenge UConn a little bit. We'll have to wait and see. And I still expect a regular season title, but we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, the depth could be a problem, and it could hurt them down the line in those conference games, for all I know. And I don't wish injuries upon anybody. Depth across the board is critical to winning games. And you got to have quality depth at that. So, yeah. That's a problem for UConn right there. That's a big, big problem. And last year was a problem too, remember. And I know in the past, for some reason, UConn women's basketball has had not a lot of depth because of players transferring out after the season and then injuries, or transfer out and just stick there and just not have a lot of depth. This is probably a year, once again, they're not going to win the national championship. I don't see it. I'm sorry. I'm not being biased, but it's the truth. Because South Carolina is there. Remember. You got to deal with them and a lot of other teams. Good teams. I mean, they could very well lose to Texas and NC State in November and start 2-2. For all I know, they could. I'm not going to say they're going to, but it's the truth. Notre Dame is a tough game. Princeton, like I said, that's 3 ranked games in the non-con right there. And then Princeton, that's 4. Maryland's 5. Of course, if you're going to include Creighton, that's 6 games already. And then South Carolina and Tennessee, 7 and 8. And then there's February. And Creighton again. So you get to play Creighton twice. So and overall it is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ranked games. That's according to preseason poll, and we know those things could change. So, anyways, I just want to break the news down and go over some key non-con games. And I know Florida State didn't make the NCAA tournament last year, so you don't have to. You shouldn't worry about that. But it's not including Iowa. They're playing Oregon State. I expect Iowa to win that game, so that's 10 non-con games that are against potentially top 25 preseason top 25 opponents. So you got 10 tough games overall. I'm not going to discount the others. It's just it's the fact of the matter. I mean, when you look at the schedule and when you look at every team and quality wise as well, not just and it's not even including Villanova and DePaul as receiving vote teams. You get to play them twice. So add those four into the mix. That's a lot of tough. That's a that's a that's a lot of hard games. So really, in theory, you better watch out. Anyways, if you like this content, hit the like and subscribe button. See you guys later. It's going to 400 subscribers or more by the end of this year, and I wanted to go over to like the roster as well, and because depth is now a problem at UConn now. It's not like it was before. They had 11 players. Before, with Paige Becker's injury, now it's down to 10. That's a problem. And we'll have to wait and see how that's going to turn out, because that's going to be a lot of minutes for all those players, and they could get worn out as the season goes on.